which is press freedom or press freedom under attack. So we have put together a lovely program for the whole of this week. We have different things coming up. So we have people that are going to be speaking to you from Asia, America, Europe, Africa, so different parts of the world. They're experts in journalism. They'll be speaking about different things. So we have people talking about AI, GPT debates. We have people talking about war coverage, and there are those that are talking about weaponizing the law, because sometimes people use the law to fight against journalists. So we have many other very interesting topics for you this year. And we are happy that you are here today, and I'm sure that you continue to go throughout the days we'll be holding this program. It's very important for us to have this program because we know that journalism is playing a very important role. And you may hear this from other speakers as well. So a lot of studies have shown that journalism contributes to protecting democracy. And there are those that are not very happy with it because they call part of council. And because of all this, you sometimes hear that journalists go under different types of failures. Sometimes they're attacked. We've heard of journalists getting killed. And it's important for us to protect journalists because they also give voice to the voiceless. They attempt to do this. Some may argue that they don't do that sometimes. But studies have shown that to a large extent, journalists help to make people hear the voices of those that may not have been heard. So it's important to protect democracy. And we know that some of you are going to be journalists in the future. Even if you're not working as a journalist, every field you're working, it's important to know about these things because these days we have media departments in many organizations. So yes, so we have this program for you today. We're having talks, we're having a workshop. So today we're going to have a workshop on war coverage. And we have someone who has been at the workshop and she's going to tell you about her experience today. And then teach you about how to protect yourself, because that's also very important. We have other discussions as well. And then we have competition. So students, people are monkey, we're going to do competition. So we've got people that have worked with our creative media team, and they produce short videos, they produce TikTok, they produce podcasts, all relating to the theme journalism under attack. So today we're going to look at some of these, and as we go on in the week, we will also watch the creative media competitions on Tuesday. You will see some of that. So now, without further delay, permit me to invite the head of school of the Department of Journalism, Media and Communication, Professor Jackie Harrison. She's going to deliver her annual keynote address as UNESCO Chair on the media and radio journalism, safety and issue of impunity. Shall we put our hands together as we welcome? So I'm going to the annual report of mine.
Thank you. Is this okay? Well, thank you very much. Fantastic to see you all here today. I hope you have a fabulous week. It's a very, very timely subject. Journalism and news is happening in the world at the moment. And so I'm just going to say a little bit about the way in which attacks on journalism cuts across many different sorts of areas. Journalism basically sits at the nexus of many different factors. All of those factors, no matter where journalism is situated, be locally, nationally, or internationally, are going to have some bearing on the way that journalism actually is able to operate. So obviously, you know, if you think about journalists, they don't operate in a vacuum. There's all sorts of different influences that have an effect on the messages that they can write about or they can deliver. Now, in an ideal world, that would be the text thing, which is that's that. More of us is everyone, really important, and that would be free and independent journalism. But the text on journalists have these very, very interrelated dimensions: political, legal, social, online, and economic. So journalists themselves are often finding themselves in the middle of politically motivated descriptions. These politically motivated restrictions clearly undermine media freedom, or press freedom, as it's sometimes called as well. And what the problem is that it undermines, this political things undermines independent public interest journalism in the States. So there's many examples of that. But also there are examples where states and other parties use the law. Bina mentioned that to me. And the way that the law is used is an increase in legislation, vexation legislation that is used deliberately to curtail independent journalism, such as something called strategic lawsuits against public participation, and I think you're going to hear more about that soon. These are lawsuits that are brought against journalists pre-publication in order to try to stop them from actually revealing corruption or wrongdoing. Societal shocks hit journalism hard, and you will all be aware tensions and pressures created by COVID-19 for journalists, climate change, and of course, war and conflict, where journalists are often by military time. But actually, there's also a problem there quite often, which is the assault on journalism itself, the idea of journalism, where governments can actually use these kind of societal shocks as a pretext for slapping on more and more restrictive regulations and legislation, or using laws which are already there, but using them badly in order to stop journalists reporting things that somebody else has happened. Again, this is a measure to stop information getting to the public, and also it stops journalism acting as a public service. So this whole journalism as an idea, as a concept, as a set of moral activities, whatever you want to call it, journalism itself gets pushed into different corners because of all these different sources and the actual concept of journalism itself. The online environment, which is increasingly hostile, is used as a weapon, as we know, in many ways. Speech is recognised, so that speech becomes hateful, and actually then lots of really attacks that go on the idea of journalism, independent journalism, but also attacking independent journalists. And the increase in this and disinformation obviously makes the world of journalism much more complicated, because if you're only reporting something rather than telling a story, it gets more and more problematic. So journalists find themselves again in this position. And of course, journalism is illustrated in a number of ways through the diminishing of advertising revenue, but also the concentration and mobilisation of media institutions and information providers around the world. So mainstream media find themselves under attack in many ways, politically, as well as fake news, all the way through to have their revenues curtailed by big invested interest often organised through state parties. So all of that is in the negative picture. But why does it matter? Well, it matters in the total. First of all, it matters. Journalism, if you think of it as a social good or a public service, is really unlimited. That means that it's containing your rights to them. As a practice, the essence of journalism, journalism speech to power, which is objective by that kind of journalism. It's an objective methodology, it's rigorously attempt to be truthful. Journalism is sincere in the way that what exactly is possible and not right, of course, because facts and rules are the audience and the education. But nonetheless, this kind of journalism is what we mean when we talk about journalism in the public interest. It's journalism that's free to report what somebody else wants to know, and you are still enabled to do that. And so, how is that? Largely, there's two ways. One way is to attack the very idea of journalism itself, misinformation, why we need some journalists to tell us what to do or what to learn or what to know. Journalism itself could be seen as superior to the information provided to the public. But of course, journalists are there to get to the truth or as near to the truth as possible. But then there is also this idea that journalism can be diminished or undermined through attacks on individual journalists themselves. By doing that, once it frightens people. I mean, and worst case scenario, journalists are killed, and we've seen that right now. Journalists come into harassment constituents. So, covering conflict, of course, is one of the most problematic, or perhaps seems to be the most dangerous types of journalism that one can do. And we tend to think of covering conflict in the way of as wars and what's happening in Israel and Palestine and Gaza Strip at the moment. We have all of this attention on the world, on the way in which journalists have been killed and attacked. And of course, that happens everywhere. Wars and conflicts are incredibly problematic for journalists, but war correspondents tend to know and have a set of protocols in which to operate. Where conflict is more or less a civil war, it's much more problematic. It's very difficult to get out. It's very difficult to get help. But conflict isn't always about these major wars, these major events that are covered endlessly by the media. They are also about other types of clashes and skirmishes, as I said, within different settings. And quite often those journalists become casualties, but people don't get to hear about that in quite the same way. And within countries themselves, political violence, covering protests, violence from criminal gangs, and organised civil unrest, as well as social unrest and demonstrations, become lethal places of conflict and hostility within societies. And all of those types of conflicts are problematic for journalists and it means that they are not safe doing their jobs. But another area in which journalists find themselves very, very constrained and also under attack is covering covering corruption and abuses of power. Obviously, as soon as you start to uncover corruption within societies, you're getting to the heart sometimes of how different societies work. Citizens have that built into the very essence of what they do, and there's co-option of the media into politics. Politicians and journalists get too close, some of them. Also, the police sometimes are got into attacking journalists. So the way in which a country is organised actually creates the conditions within which journalists operate. Where there is corruption, obviously the journalists find themselves treading on eggshells, as we would say, being very, very careful quite often in order to try to avoid coming under attack because they're revealing something that somebody doesn't want them to talk about. Now, some journalists, of course, really, really don't brain and don't really react to that really well. And the classic example of this in Cyberland is somebody called Dr Bina Ogbebor, who's a journalist who lived in Malta. She was killed in 2017. She spent years and years uncovering corruption. Some of you may have heard of her. The reason I'm mentioning her today is because her son, Paul Caruana, has just released a book called A Death in Malta. And this charts all the corruption that Daphne was uncovering within Malta. And she was doing this year on year. And some of you may well have heard of the Panama Papers, the journalism around the Panama Papers was released in 2016. Well, Daphne was uncovering examples of corruption within Malta, of shell companies set up in different countries where people in power were trying to avoid paying taxes or money laundering. So Daphne was uncovering all sorts of different corruption in Malta and trying to get that out there. And it was too much. The publishers in the Carbon in 2017. And at the time, she was defending almost 50 libel suits. Tends to similar to standards. Well, obviously, those libel suits are examples of the way the law can be used to try to tell these areas into not reporting. So I recommend that book to you. and to think about what happens when a journalist is attacked and the perpetrator, the mastermind behind the whole project, isn't brought to account. What happens there is that there's an attack and a murder with the community. And obviously, you know, I think this week is the International Day to End Impunity, where multi-stakeholder communities come together to try to emphasise what it is, why it's important that people who commit crimes against journalists are actually prosecuted. And so the reason for that is if a journalist is killed with impunity, that not only undermines the horror of the death, it not only undermines the right to information, it results quite often in the chilling effect of the journalist itself. Because quite often journalists say, this story is too dangerous to tell. And there's really types of corruption within the political class or other types of corruption, then it's often safer not to do that. Just like it might be safer not to do it, I'm also saying. When journalists are killed with impunity, they may start censoring, choose not to tell the story, or they may actually decide that press freedom is not worth while. And I mean, that's something that a lot of journalists would consider to be the case. So the upshot of all of this is that that results in an attack on press freedom. So remember, that's your speaking this week. So press freedom diminishes this way. So you have an assault on journalism itself, then you have an assault on journalism itself. And then all of that results in press freedom. And that press freedom is actually monitored annually by the World Freedom Index. And I just suggest that you Google that, have a look, and then you'll see where countries sit on the press freedom index and why they're in the position that they're on. So impunity, that figure 9 out of 10, probably slightly less, probably about 8.9 out of 10. Crimes against journalists and journalists are killed are living in impunity. And so that's why the International Day to End Impunity is so important. And that's why gatherings like this and your understanding and your knowledge become a really important part of understanding the world which journalists work. And I also recommend to you the annual impunity index, which is tomorrow by the Ministry to Protect Journalists. So again, if you Google that and have a look, I think you'll find that really interesting. And that's about which countries have been facing success in bringing murderers to account when they killed a journalist. So it's always very sobering to see those kind of statistics. So as we find journalism becoming a more and more contested area, as politicians, perhaps issues in their as journalists in the dream to get the story, whether it be because of a conflict or whether they're trying to actually reveal corruption. The balance of truth and the importance of information tilts. The less journalism taken, and remember I said it's really independent journalism that tries to get to the heart of what's going on. The more that diminishes, the more the balance tips, the less we get to know. And you can see at the moment there's a massive amount of misinformation. This is disinformation. And so why, again, does it matter? Well, Maria Ressa, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, and I'm going to meet you for their efforts to say freedom of expression, said it, I think, brilliantly. And she is basically said, without facts, you can't have truth. Without truth, we can't have trust. Without trust, we have no shared reality, no democracy. Because it's impossible to build our world's existence. Violence, coronavirus, and truth, hold the mind. And that's really what's at stake. And that's what wants to say accountability is all about. This group of organisations and individuals who work really, really hard alongside something called the UN Plan of Action on the safety of journalism and the issue of impunity. And we all try to make the world a better place for journalists. And as UNESCO Chair, I represent academia in all of that. and trying to get students and colleagues to research in this area and to understand actually really what's at stake. Let's learn the student on behalf of all of this. You should never ever. So thank you very much for listening. And I really hope you enjoyed your discussion here this evening.
Thank you very much, Professor Jackie Harrison. Right, thank you. All right, so we are going to just take a very short break before we listen to the other speaker. It's just going to be for maybe a minute or two. But we just want to let you know that our speaker is here already. We have Dr. Janet Harris. Shall we put our hands together for her? Welcome her. Yeah, I'm going to be very happy very soon, but I just want to mention that you have some numbers on the tables on different sides of this building. So she's going to speak to us for some time, and after which you'll go to your different groups, and we're going to give numbers to different people. So as we give her time to bring up her slide, we are going to give you numbers. So as you're seated here, you will see our student ambassadors. They are going to distribute numbers to you. The number we'll give to you is going to be your workshop group. So when you get to the time for the workshop, then you'll be able to, you just go to the different ends and sit on the table that has your number. So yeah, our student affairs ambassadors will be giving you the numbers right in hand. Nafisa, thank you very much. It has got us okay, yeah, because we finished the live stream. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.